Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we need to talk about something big. It's not just about technology, it's about a new kind of war. A war for your attention, for your trust, and yeah, for your version of reality. And the weapon everyone's reaching for? You guessed it, artificial intelligence.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. That's Gary Gensler, who's the head of the SEC, and he is not messing around. He's basically warning us that all this hype around new tech, it's the perfect breeding ground for lies. He's putting companies on notice, telling them, hey, we're watching you.
Which brings us to the big question, right? In this age of AI, who can you actually trust? It sounds simple, but it is getting so much harder to answer every single day. And figuring it out has real-world consequences. I mean, we're talking about everything from the money in your bank account to the stability of the entire world.
Okay, so let's break this down. This whole war for truth is really being fought on two main fronts. You've got the corporate world, where it's all about a battle for your investment dollars, and then you've got the global stage, where it's a much bigger battle for hearts and minds.
See, you have to understand that AI isn't just another tool in the toolbox. Think of it more like pouring gasoline on a fire. It's an accelerant. It supercharges deception. We're not just talking about creating a few fake articles anymore. This is about polluting our entire information environment, making it so hard to figure out what's real and what's not.
All right, let's start with that first front, the corporate world. The battlefield here is all about money, and the deception has a slick new name for a very old trick. They're calling it AI washing. So why are companies so tempted to do this? Well, the reason is pretty simple. Money. A lot of money. Look at this. Just by slapping the label AI-powered on your startup, you could attract anywhere from 15 to a whopping 50% more funding. With that kind of incentive, you can see why some might be tempted to, stretch the truth a little.
So what is AI washing exactly? Well, you've probably heard of greenwashing, right? Where companies pretend to be more eco-friendly than they are. This is the exact same thing, but for the tech world. Companies wrap themselves up in this high-tech flag of innovation, but when you actually pop the hood, a lot of times there's nothing there. Seriously, they might call a simple if-then computer command AI, or they've literally got people in a back room doing the work they claim is all automated. It's the classic all-sizzle, no-steak problem.
And don't think this is just some niche problem for tech startups. We're seeing it everywhere, in financial services, in cybersecurity, and even, get this, in the beauty and personal care industry. I mean, that AI toothbrush you saw that promises the perfect smile? Yeah, odds are it's just a regular electric toothbrush with a really good marketing team.
But look, this isn't just some harmless marketing gimmick. There are real consequences. Regulators are already cracking down. The SEC has already hit 2 investment firms with $400,000 in combined fines, all for making bogus AI claims. The message they're sending is crystal clear. If you play with fire, you will get burned.
Okay, so that's the corporate world. But what happens when you take this same principle of deception and scale it way up? Now we're not just talking about misleading investors in a boardroom. We're talking about misleading entire populations on a battlefield. And on this geopolitical front, the stakes aren't just about money anymore. They're about life and death.
And this right here, this is the new face of war. Long before a single shot is fired on a physical battlefield, a digital war for the story, for the narrative, is already well underway. It's a fight for control, and it's happening right where you are now, on our screens.
Let's look at a real-world example. Take the recent conflict between India and Pakistan. India launched a military strike called Operation Sindor, but what happened next almost instantly was a second wave of attack, this time online. The internet just exploded. It turned into this chaotic digital battleground, with both sides weaponizing propaganda to try and win over public opinion.
And just look at the data from that conflict. It's wild. Over a third of the entire online conversation was driven by bots and highly coordinated campaigns. You see that word anomalous? That's just a way of saying this activity wasn't natural. It wasn't real people having a discussion. It was networks of fake accounts all posting in perfect robotic unison to push a specific narrative. This wasn't a debate. It was a planned, orchestrated information attack.
Okay, so whether we're talking about a company faking its tech to get investors, or a government manufacturing a narrative to win a conflict, the end result is exactly the same. It's this slow, steady, and frankly dangerous erosion of our trust. Trust in companies, trust in governments, trust in the very institutions we're supposed to be able to rely on.
Now, to be fair, this isn't a totally new problem that just appeared with AI. For decades, the news media has often been obsessed with being first, not necessarily with being right. I mean, think back to the awful misidentification of suspects after the Boston bombing, or all the confusion and conflicting reports during the COVID-19 pandemic. Every single time, this need for speed has caused real, lasting damage.
And the result of all this? It's pretty stark. Today, only 40% of people globally say they trust the news most of the time. Just let that sink in. 40%. That's a massive failure for an industry whose entire foundation is supposed to be trust.
And this really boils down to a fundamental choice for anyone putting information out there. You can see the two models right here. Are you going to treat your audience like consumers of excitement, where the only thing that matters is speed and getting clicks? Or are you going to treat them like informed citizens, where the priority is accuracy and building long-term trust?
Okay, so it sounds a little bleak, I know. But this isn't a story about doom and gloom. It's not a losing battle. In fact, we're starting to see a pushback. It's a combination of new innovation and, honestly, a return to some good old-fashioned values.
Because there's no magic fix here, no single silver bullet. The solution has to come from two directions at once. We need a technological defense system, but we also need a very human shift in what we value. We need the tools, but we also need the will to use them for the right reasons.
So, first up, the tech side of the solution. It's this field called narrative intelligence. Think of these systems as digital detectives on a massive scale. They consume enormous amounts of data: news, blogs, social media. They break it all down, analyze it for patterns, and can spot coordinated manipulation. They can find the fingerprints of a bot network. It's pretty cool, actually. We're essentially using AI to fight fire with fire.
And then there's the second part, the human solution. And honestly, this might be the harder part. It's about having the institutional courage to just slow down, to prioritize verification over speed, to be transparent and tell your audience, hey, here's what we don't know yet. It's about making a conscious choice to be a source of trust, because in the long run, trust is so much more valuable than clicks.
So the battle for truth isn't some far-off abstract idea. It's happening right now, every single day, on the screens in our hands. The real question is, are you equipped for it? The tools to see through the noise are being built, but at the end of the day, it's on all of us. It's on us to demand better from our information sources, to think a little more critically, and to choose where we get our news wisely. Because, and this is not an exaggeration, the future of our shared reality really depends on it.